So, as usual, after last Sunday and a few days during the week, I'm thinking, what can I talk about? What is something that they could, my dearest, precious people here, what could they benefit from? And then it always comes back to, wait a minute, what can I benefit from? What can I do that will help me and anyone else to come to a clearer understanding of who and what and where we are and all of the above. And I don't know who we are and what we are and where we are, but we take one day at a time. And there's one thing I learned early on in the ministry. It's when I get up here, or anyone else who gets up here, we've had several in this past year of you guys getting up here, it just always occurs to me that I have to have a partner in this. I have to go to my higher self, my inner being, my Christ self, God within, the Buddha wisdom of me, whatever, to bring about an understanding of who I really am and where we really are and what can we do to make life better, make it more comforting, make it more positive. And that's what unity is. Unity's about the positivity of our minds and hearts. And we endeavor to hold that state of consciousness that says we are one, we are not separate from God. We are one with God. God is us, in, over, under, around, and through us as us. One of the questions we get most of the time, and I can so relate to this. You know, I pray and I pray and I pray, and the last church I went to, the several churches I went to, I prayed and prayed and prayed. And I come here to Unity, and I think everything's going to be much better, but I pray and pray and pray, and nothing happens. All I do is I get more miserable. I get more scared. I get so scared sometimes that my mind goes numb, and I can't sleep, and I have so much stress, and on and on and on and on and on, until they say I feel like I'm a victim. I feel like, God is not for me. I don't see any way out. And boy, I think all of us on some level can relate to that at one time or another in our lives. You say, well, how is Unity different? How can I get better results from prayer here, coming to Unity, than I have in my normal life, the way I go about things, the way I've gone about things? How can I get answered prayer? And I remember talking to this one lady in a prior ministry that I was in years ago, and she came after the service, and she was crying, and she said, this is my first time here, and I had so many expectations, and it's great what you said, and I got let out of it, but I'm feeling more lost than ever. And she said, I pray and pray and pray, and God never comes down to help me. And I said, well, God doesn't come down. There's no up, there's no down. God is within you. Well, why don't I feel it? I said, because you're not allowing yourself to feel it. You're closed off in it by a disbelief. You don't believe that you're either worthy or that you pray the right way, what have you. And she said, well, how do you pray? I said, well, it's not just with words. You have to become an active participant in your own healing process. Jesus said, take up your cross and walk. Physician, heal thyself. So it isn't like God is a Santa Claus and you pray and Santa Claus takes care of all your things. Oh, heal me, God, heal me, heal me. Is not praying in a way that's going to bring you what you expect or what you hope to expect. You have to involve yourself. Why God? You involve yourself because you're a powerful spiritual being. You're an electromagnetic chemical being. And you have more power than what you ever hoped you have, what you ever thought you would have. Jesus gave us all the teachings. He said, you're gods, and you know not. You don't even know it. And we get so depressed sometimes when we don't believe that, when we don't have a belief system that says that we are powerful, that we have within us, in, over, under, around, and through us, the wherefore to change our lives. And so, if you've been coming here to Unity more often, you know that prayer, it's a thought process to begin with. And then it goes into a feeling process. So I'm going to step back and say one more time, you can't do it by yourself. You need a partner. You need to partner with God, with the higher power of your understanding, whatever that is. But if you don't believe in a higher power, then just pretend you do and say, higher power, whatever you are, I need your help. I can't do it by myself. It's kind of like they say in AA, by myself I can't do it. You need to reach to a higher degree of understanding. In prayer, what's so important to in prayer is to have a dialogue, create this dialogue. Even if you have to sit down and look in the mirror and look in your eyes and say, hey, I need help. I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am. I've tried and I keep feeling worse and all these things keep happening to me. Why? Well, I would say the first thing to do is to believe that you're not a victim. You cannot be a victim of anything outside yourself, because you created your life with your thoughts and your feelings and your belief system. What God created is perfect. So God could not have created your body with the thought system that you have. Because if God created your body, you could not get sick. It would be perfection. But God loved us so much, He gave us the freedom to do what we want to do. And the encouragement, if we would listen to how to do that. So in a prayer, I'm going to decide what I want. And as Bob said, if you want to think about, I like wisdom and understanding. You've got to create a feeling of what that would be. One lady came to me one time and she said, I'm taking tickets on the lottery and I buy them and I overspend and I'm not winning anything. And even at the local bazaar, I spend all this extra money. And I said, well, how would you feel if you won? She said, well, I don't believe I can. I said, well, let's go back to step one. You have to, if you are going to get anything, you have to act like, feel like you already have it. Jesus said, pray. And when you pray believing that what you asked for is already yours. And I encourage you to write that down and study it. Because there's no victims. You have the ability to do that. So imagine if you already won it. How would you feel if you stuck your coupon in a hat and somebody drew your name and you won $50,000? And you went to collect it and they gave you a check and you go to the bank and here's $50,000 in cash. How would you feel? See, praying is thinking and feeling. You would have to feel like you already have it. Pray believing that what you ask for is already yours. And that's the key. That's the key right there. So I'm going to encourage all of us to create a higher power, whether you understand it or not. Sometimes I don't understand it. Sometimes I think I do. Sometimes I feel I do. Sometimes I feel like I don't. We're all in the same boat here. We're all learning. We're all children of God. We're all super intelligence. And we're all stupid. All of these at times. We're all crazy, just a matter of degree. I might be more crazy than you. No, Natalie, I'm more crazy than you. So I want to play a video here to get us out of on the right track. So if you would do that.
Hi, my name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I want you to become conscious of those unconscious thoughts and so conscious of them that you'll never go unconscious again. I want you to become so aware of how you act and what you say and so conscious and familiar with the old self that you would never go unconscious and return back to that old self. And I want you to be challenged emotionally that when you're in the meditation and you want to quit because you're feeling some disturbing emotion, that is standing in the way between you and your future. And when you begin to realize that, my goodness, I may have been living my whole life in suffering, and I didn't even know that I was suffering because it just felt like me. The moment you start detaching from those programs and you begin to free yourself from the past and change your energy, that's when your life should begin to change. If we teach a person then how to trade that frustration or that hatred for an elevated emotion, and they'll say, yeah, but you know, it was my ex's fault, or I got betrayed by my partner in business. Yeah, we know that. Okay, so let's take your partner in business, or take your ex. Let's duct tape him, put him in a cannon, and shoot him to the moon. Now what are you going to do? Sooner or later, you got to reckon with yourself and change, right? So you're going to give that up, and you're going to practice feeling gratitude, as an example.
Yes.
The person says, well, I can't feel gratitude. And I say, absolutely you can, because you don't practice feeling it. You practice spending most of your time feeling hatred and frustration. So now it's going to take a little time to cause that heart of you to bloom, or your heart of yours to bloom. Once they're able to feel even the smallest measure of gratitude, where they start feeling appreciation, thankfulness, gratitude, it's emotional signature. When you get something, when you're receiving something, when something has happened to you, or when something is happening to you, you say thank you because you're receiving something. So the emotional signature of gratitude means the event has already happened, or it's happening to you. So the moment you open your heart and you feel gratitude, well, that emotion then is telling the body that the experience has already occurred. And the thought then can make it into the body because it's consistent with the thought. So now you're beginning to program the autonomic nervous system into a very specific destiny. And you got to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day, independent of the conditions in your outer environment, independent of your body's cravings of those emotions and habituations, and independent from time. And if you can, get ready, because something weird or unusual, some synchronicity, some coincidence, some opportunity is going to land in your lap, and you didn't have to go and get it. Yes, it came to you. Now you're the vortex of creation. So if you say to me, well, I was feeling gratitude, but then there was traffic, or my coworker sent me a nasty email, then I would say, oh my God, you mean you're allowing your environment, your outer environment, to control how you feel and think? You're back to the unconscious program that you're the victim to your life. But when you start producing those outcomes in your life, you're going to pay attention to what you did inside of you, and you're going to believe more that you're the creator of your life and less of the victim of your life. So if a person's just constantly living in fear, and even if the environment is wonderful and they're on vacation, and they keep remembering an event or anticipating a future, and they're bringing up the emotion of anxiety and fear, it makes sense then that the person's signaling the gene outside of the outer environment because they're making the emotion in their inner environment, and there's no difference. And so if that happens, the constant effect by the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease. And if you can turn on that stress response just by thinking about your problems, then your thoughts are literally going to make you sick. So if your thoughts can make you sick, can your thoughts make you well? And you cannot begin to see changes in a person's health until they stop regulating the same genes the same way, and they start up-regulating new genes and down-regulating old genes. And if they do that, they start producing different enzymes and different chemicals and different hormones, and their body begins to scale in a different direction. You have to really begin to mentally rehearse. Like, so you ask yourself at the end of your day, I do this every day, how'd I do? How'd I do today, bro? How'd you do? Did you do good? Where'd you fall from grace? What was it that caused you to go unconscious for the rest of the day? Like, what was that moment? Now, if you're a student of life, you'll begin to contemplate, well, it was that person that said that thing and I reacted, or I got this email, or things didn't go my way and I started feeling angry or frustrated or fearful. The next time that happens, how could I evolve my experience? Now, you may have to search for some answers of the best model to build, Or you may actually have a long contemplation and start to go, God, the next time that happens, I think I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to plan my behaviors. And the act of closing your eyes and rehearsing what you're going to do begins to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like you already did it. Now the brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. And if you keep installing that hardware, the hardware will become a software program, which means you'll just start acting like a happy person. Why? There's no magic there. You install the circuitry. So that's more important than the news.
Right.
It's more important than answering any email or any text. It's more important than talking about your past or some dinner. If you can begin to just think about how you're going to do it differently, that's the building process neurologically already. So now you have to get conscious in order to do that. And it takes some time. It means you got to shut your cell phone off. You got to close your door. You got to take a break from everything out there and begin to practice. And so by experience then, you start noticing, oh, here it comes the frustration, here comes the fear. And now we've given people the tools to be able to self-regulate, to create brain and heart coherence. And so you see people say, excuse me 1 minute, I just need a minute. They take some breaths, they get back in, they connect to the energy of their future. This is incidental compared to where they're going. So they don't fall from grace. They don't allow their energy to drop. And so, yeah, in the beginning, it takes a lot, because it takes a lot of energy and awareness to stay conscious and not go unconscious. But if you're persistent and you're determined and you're sincere, you begin to figure it out. You begin to say, I am not going to give my power away to that person or that circumstance when I can use it to heal or to create a new future. If you're waking up every day and you're combining a clear intention with an elevated emotion, and you're changing your emotional state to be elevated, you could still see the old self from an elevated point of view and stay conscious than from a limited point of view. And that's what I want for people. Like, let's go. I mean, what do you got to lose? Well, people are going to start wondering, like, did you change your medication? What's up with that guy? Something's different about him. You're not predictable any longer, right? And we say to our community, you know, when you're changing, you just stop talking about it. You're just too busy being it. Something's happening, you know, and that's the repetition of getting a few days in a row of that really well. I always say, God, if you had a great meditation, you wake up feeling better at the end of that meditation than when you started, and you do that the next day, and then the next day, you're going to start feeling better all the time. And then your body's going to start feeling better, and everything's going to start feeling better. And you're going to start feeling better about life. So then, we have 1,000 reasons. I have more than 1,000 reasons every day to be unhappy with managing companies and staff and people, all that. But then when you rise above that and you choose just who you want to be, I think it makes a big impression on your family, first yourself, and your family and your friends and the people you work with, and then finally our community. So I think that people are starting to figure that out. And when they imagine the oxytocin levels in our student body, the love hormone, the love chemical, 200 times outside of normal. The latest research on oxytocin is slight elevation in oxytocin. It's impossible to hold a grudge. Now, so then, what that means is you feel so amazing that why would you want to hold a grudge against that person? So forgiveness then is not something that you have to try to do to be spiritual. It's the side effect of saying, I don't want to give up this feeling for you or anybody, so I'm letting it go. I'm freeing you, I'm freeing myself, and my goodness, there's more liberation of energy. I call that the natural state of being, and we're knocking on that door. Why? Because as you begin to open your heart to life again, and you start trusting in your future and trusting in yourself a little bit more, and you start self-regulating with your heart, you do that properly, and you lead from that place, from that level of awareness. Your life will change in dramatic ways. And why is that essential? Because when people start doing that effectively, oxytocin signals nitric oxide. Nitric oxide signals a chemical called endothelial-derived relaxing factor. And that causes the arteries in your heart and lungs, Jay, to literally swell. just like when your sexual organs are aroused and blood flow moves into them, male and female, that's a different consciousness. There's a different energy in there. Imagine the same intensity moving into your heart. That's what people are experiencing. That is a level of love. That's not like a love for your puppy. It's not like a love for your partner. This is transcendent of that. This is the most familiar, unfamiliar feeling you will ever have. It'll be distant and at the same time very close. And you'll start to see the hidden meaning behind all things. And now, when you walk in the presence of your greatest betrayer, the person who threw you under the bus, whatever it is, when you walk in from this place, there will be no emotional reaction. You will just see that person for who they are, who you used to be. Now, compassion then is no longer something that you have to try to do. It's the end product of doing the work. And I think that mystics and saints and masters of old understood this. So when they thought of that person, they didn't allow that thought to produce a feeling or an energy that would lower their energy. They understood that when they had the thought of that person, they saw their limitation. It wasn't hurting them, it was only hurting themselves. Now, I think that if the world was doing that, wow, we'd have a very different world.
So I would invite you to, if you so choose to, this is an example, Joe Dispenza, and we've used Greg Braden and a lot of other master teachers, current master teachers. Get in the habit of that. If you, instead of turning on the news, which I'm guilty of, turning on the news and getting absorbed in there, but look at some of these videos that you see. They're free. They're YouTube videos, and they've got incredible knowledge if you get the New Thought teachers. And Unity for the noise, we consider ourselves new thought. So just remember, you are in charge of your life. God gave you that power to choose. God gave you the power to change, but you've got to focus on it. And I suggest you get into prayer and learn to meditate. Meditation is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Study meditation and then spend 5 minutes a day. Build it up to 10 minutes a day or more. Just to go within and try to quiet your mind. Because that's when your higher self, the God within you, will speak to you. And thoughts and feelings. But you have to quiet your mind. Prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening. So I so encourage you to do that. And don't have any exalted expectations at first. It's going to take a while. You've got to dedicate yourself to doing this. Even if you did it 5 to 10 minutes a day, it would change your life within a month. Just pick a time when you would normally do something else that would maybe waste time, and give yourself that gift of meditation. So thank you for being here today. I wanted to play that video. I thought it was really super. I thought I got a lot out of it, and I'm hoping that you did as well. Thank you.
May I just say something quickly? I went to Mile High Church for 30 years. And when I was in that time period is when he had been, Dr. Joe here, in this horrific accident where this woman got out of control. He was walking on the sidewalk and she ran over him. And it was months and months and months that he was literally on his deathbed. And what he's talking about is what he did to save his life. As I've read all his books and I've followed all of that. That's incredible what you brought here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Let's prepare for a short time of guided meditation. And some of us just begin by taking a few deep breaths. The first breath, as you release it, just inviting your body to relax, to let go. Release. release any tension. And another deep breath. As you bring your mind into focus, choose a spot of focus, whether that is, earlier Ram Dass told us, our abdomen and then our heart space, center of the chest, your third eye, your breath. Choose one. And another deep breath where we consciously turn away from our outer experience and turn within, where all that we've experienced during this time together, it's all sort of waiting there for us to integrate, to take what we want and to leave the rest. But maybe even consider something of it that we don't want. Because we are all about opening our minds and our hearts to new experiences, to new beliefs and new people and different people and different experiences. So may we consciously do that in this moment, just even affirming in that quiet place within, silently affirming, I open my mind and my heart to my life experience as I choose the path of light and the path of love, the path of divine wisdom within me. As I choose in each moment of each day when I remember, and each day I'm remembering more, and I'm remaining conscious more and more. To remember to refer to that wisdom and that love within. So let us just take a moment now to breathe and to allow that truth to integrate into our consciousness. Silently affirming, I am infinite light. I am infinite love. I am infinite peace. And so it is. So it is. And bringing your attention now back to your outer experience as we give thanks once again for these few moments of sacred silence and stillness.